welcome back to the Chicks in Construction podcast. I'm your host, Mikki Paradise, and today we have a very special expert. This is Bailey Shey Morris.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
I'm super excited for her to come on because it is about to be storm season, and she is a roofer. So tell me, how did you get into the roofing industry?
It's a fun story. I got back into it when it was 2020. It was COVID. I think everybody remembers that being a really odd time.
It was weird.
It was weird.
It was a weird time.
Yeah. I was in college, going to school for electrical engineering, and then everybody was making fun of the engineers because nobody wanted to be a COVID engineer. So I was like,
what?
Did you hear about that?
No.
My professor even made fun of me. He's like, no, you don't want to be a COVID engineer because we were all doing our classes online. And so we couldn't go to campus.
Okay.
We couldn't do anything. Everybody was utilizing the internet to answer questions and do their exams. So press pause. My brother and my mom had already started a roofing and construction firm in Cary, North Carolina. So I missed the family. I came up and I was just going to go back to school, but I ended up helping out and I fell in love with the industry. And I was like, if these guys can do it, I can do it. And
awesome.
So, 7 years later, I decided to go into business for myself. And yeah, that's how I'm here.
So Cadmus Construction, did I say that right?
You did. Boom,
okay,
boom.
We literally had to practice that 75 times. Bailey was rolling her eyes a little bit.
It's right
She was
here.
like, Mikki, it's literally on my shirt,
Right
my hat. And I was like, I'm doing the best I can.
I'm trying to be helpful.
So there's a meaning behind your name, and I thought it was really cool, so I wanted her to share it with you guys.
I probably get my overthinking from my mom and her from marketing, because that's where her background is in corporate marketing. And anything that has to do with like a label or a name, I way overanalyze. And so when I chose Cadmus, I've always had an affinity for Greek mythology, even growing up through school. So I kind of was going through the characters, and Cadmus I found was a Greek mythological hero. He built Thebes, which is a huge city, essentially. And he also sowed dragon's teeth into the earth, which raised his warriors, which is why I call my team guardians of your home, because we're building for the future, we're protecting and shielding your home, and we're going to make sure that we're utilizing sustainable and environmentally safe practices, essentially. That's our objective at Cadmus.
I love that. I think that is so intentional. I wish I had that. I'm like, just PDI. It's just PDI drywall.
What's PDI mean?
Literally nothing. It
I
means
love it.
nothing. Like I
love it so much.
There's absolutely nothing.
And I've also got these like golden arches now. And so I always joke, it's like I'm the McDonald's of construction.
I love it. That's amazing.
So I had my hats done a couple of times, and like he couldn't get the lettering right or something, but the arches, they're just gold all the time. And I'm like, dude, you're killing it.
I
so
absolutely
as long as that's
love
there.
your colors too. I wish I had put more, I wish I had put more thought into my colors.
I feel like
they're
you
not,
hit the ground running. You were like, this is the name. These are the
we
first
have a
two
name,
colors.
we have colors,
Let's
we have
make
a
some money.
logo. Drywall. So I love that your company has a little bit more intention behind it. I think that is wonderful. So this all started because Bailey has a bomb ass social media, and I was following her on social, and they were talking about hail damage. And I asked a question because I genuinely had no idea how hail actually damages your roof. And so I asked her the question on social, and she answered it. She nerded out, and it was great. And I was like, she needs to be on the podcast. Because there's, again, the whole point of the Chicks in Construction podcast is you don't know what you don't know. And so I think there's a lot that people don't know about roofing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to have you on and really just give us the down and dirty on roofing. I know one of the things you said when we were on the phone, and I was like, we're going to need her to explain that, is the chuck in the truck.
Oh, yeah. I think that's point one.
Yeah. Topic one, the chuck in the truck. So what is that? What is that all about?
Goodness. So chucks and trucks. I think there's even some other names that they toss out there. That's essentially your guy who may or may not be licensed. He's definitely got a truck. He's definitely got a ladder. He probably doesn't have the right personal protection equipment, but he's going to tell you that he can go up on your roof and tell you that something's wrong, essentially.
Okay.
He may not have the proper endorsements, the licensing, the insurance backing. And those are things that it's funny, the chucks and trucks, but it's also, that leads to our horror stories. That leads to an installation that has no warranty, that has installation malpractice issues, things that aren't up to code. And that's where we get, I can go into a horror story.
Let's do it. Go into it.
So I was in Greensboro, and Greensboro just got hit by a pretty substantial hail event about 3 weeks ago. So me and my team went out there to see what we could do to help the community. We ended up talking to one homeowner. They actually are pocket bully breeders.
Oh, I have a pocket bully.
She has a pocket bully.
Her name is Callie. She's adorable.
Theirs was cashmere. And so it was so cute.
That is cute.
But we ended up talking, and they'd had like 5 roofers on the roof. And that's something I asked, like, hey, have you guys had contractors out here? Did you get a report? Da-da-da-da. She's like, yeah, but nobody can find where the leaks are coming from. They're just everywhere. And so we did a walk around her house. Albeit I'm the only female contractor that's been in her home. So me and her hit it off. I'm getting the nitty-gritty, the details.
The down and dirty.
Yeah.
She's giving you the deets.
Absolutely.
The tea, if you will.
And the tea was basically chuck in a truck installation. They gave her a 1-year warranty, which is not great. We give 5-year labor warranties. We can even extend that to 10. But a 1-year warranty, it's only a 7-year-old roof. Roofs are 25 to 35 years, their lifespan. They age like dogs. They really do. So we're not expecting them to last 35 years, but 7 years and a great shingle. Just bad installation. Leaks from popped nails, penetrations that weren't caulked. We had flashing that wasn't properly installed, and even just soft decking around dormers that should have been changed before.
And when you say soft decking, just for the homeowners, that's when it's the OSB or plywood.
Either one.
That is on your roof that the shingle goes on can get rotted. Like when I replaced my roof, this house, I don't even know how old it is. It was like the 60s. So when we replaced the roof, obviously there was some rotted OSB. They have to replace that before they put a new shingle on it, or it just
if they read a code book, you would see it says you can't nail on any non-nailable surface. And well, we're well past that now. So horror story of that is want to be in the home for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
They've got 4 rooms that are leaking, including their office space. And I'm talking like tape down all the way, new drywalls needed, calling Mikki. So they're going to be out about $35,000
to replace their roof. Holy, and it just is what it is.
Like, it is what it is, because we, of course, did the storm inspection. We want to make sure that 2-inch hail, and we'll talk about how that affects the shingle in a second, but we wanted to see how that storm impacted the roof system. We did an inspection, and because it was a newer shingle, shingles aren't supposed to be hail-proof, but they're hail-resistant in a sense where they can take the impact, but there was no signs of it. We had some hail to like their soft metals. Those are easy, but there was no hail, so they're just out of luck.
So then that's kind of an important point. And I hear this a lot from people, and I'm like, wait, I don't know that that's how things work. So when my sister moved into her house, it was new to her, but not a new house. And the roof was original to the house. And I remember her calling me and being like, hey, yeah, we're getting a new roof. This guy came by and said we had hail damage and we could run it through our insurance. And I was like, I don't know that that's
necessarily
how things work. I don't think people understand, like, you're running this through your insurance. Like, it's a claim on your insurance. And there's actually, from what I'm hearing in the zeitgeist of construction world, is that insurance companies are pushing back and doing a lot more, being a lot more resistant. Like, if you buy a home that has an old roof, they're very clear that they're not insuring that roof. And so until it's been replaced. I love that you basically were like, listen, we can't lie and say that there's hail damage. There's not. And so you're going to have to pay for the roof yourself. And that sucks. But it's also like, let's not commit fraud.
100%. And so when we're talking about claims, and claims can be such a scary word because homeowners think that they're poking the bear.
Oh, yeah.
Like, let's poke. Like, we don't want to even mess with that. It's a big, scary word. It's a bad word for us adults. One
of the many bad adulting words. Claims.
And we know there's plenty as female contractors.
There are many claims against us.
Well, so that's why you want to find, if you do experience a hail event or a strong wind event, we're getting high wind speeds.
We have been getting weird wind lately.
Lots, especially in February. The howling. But those are good indicators that as a homeowner, it's kind of your responsibility to have your roof checked after events like this.
Oh, tip, guys. That's a tip. When there's crazy weather, call a roofer. Call Bailey. She can come out. She's got a team. They'll come check out your roof.
Yep. Guardians all the way. Thank you. But when you do call a company to do that roof inspection for storm damage, you want to make sure that they're storm damage professionals. So that's roofing and restoration. They know how to identify hail on a roof, how to identify a wind crease shingle, not mechanical damages that could be caused by pine cones.
How can you tell if a roofer is a storm certified
contractor?
Yes.
You should be able to tell from their websites. In the roofing industry, there's a ton that just focus on the retail. For my company, we do retail and we do the restoration. So a lot of times there's going to be terminology of ACV, RCV. Like, we're going to talk about insurance information, and we're going to talk about insurance jobs on our pages, on our websites. It's something that if you call them, you can ask if they have any experience with storm damage or working with the carrier. That distinguishes a regular roofer from an insurance roofer.
Yeah. I really think there is a difference. The people that replaced our roof, I work with them in the commercial setting that I work in, and they're not doing storm damage roofs. I don't even think they normally do residential roofs. They just do me a solid. This is before I'm at Bailey, obviously. So there really is a difference between roofers that just do re-roofs or new install roofs and storm damage. And so that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely. And what I think is really important with doing those inspections, and they are complimentary. We're offering them for free, a free service, obviously, for the customer. It's not free for us, but you know how that goes.
Ain't nothing in life free.
Nothing in life is free. But when we do the inspection, we are doing a thorough ground inspection. Like, we're going to walk the entire property. We're going to check your downspouts, your window screens, your garage door for any signs of wind or hail damage. Then we're also going to get on the roof, and we're going to do an inspection for wind and hail. We're looking at all the shingles. We're looking for hail indents, and how you identify that is when hail hits a shingle at high velocities, it's going to embed some of the granules into the fiberglass matting and then knock off the granules. And those granules are your protective layer of your shingle.
Okay.
The pretty layer, but it's also what protects the fiberglass membrane from UV radiation, wind, water, weathering, stuff like that.
And that makes it deteriorate faster.
Yes.
Okay.
Because once you have that exposed fiberglass from that hail impact, whether it's 3/4 of an inch to 2 inch, which we have from Raleigh to Greensboro, that exposure, let's say in this North Carolina heat, starts to bake down on that roof, and it's going to melt a hole through that fiberglass. You've got direct water penetration into your decking boards. Then you have your soft decking. Then you have leaks. And then you have problems. Yeah, so
you do.
Insurance roofers are preventative.
When you have damage to your roof, does it have to be a whole re-roof? Can it be a repair? Is there a difference? Is one thing way better than the other?
Absolutely. Let's say we inspect your roof and I find that you met the parameters that insurance requires for a full roof replacement. So how that looks like in an inspection is we're doing 10 by 10 squares on every slope. There needs to be at least 7 to 8 impacts per industry standard in that slope, whether it's wind or it's hail impacts. Needs to have collateral damage, so we need to prove that there's been a hail event. There's damage on your metals, your downspout, your gutters. And the reason that we're checking all slopes is because we want to push for a full roof replacement. That's our objective. When you open the door to repairs, especially on older roofs, if you repair one shingle, let's say on one slope, you're essentially domino affecting the damage. For each repair done. And making the entire roof liable. And a lot of contractors won't warrant that.
So it's harder to get a warranty on a repair than it is a whole roof because you're damaging the roof as like those repairs are actually causing damage to the existing shingles.
Absolutely.
The more you know, folks. That's wild. I did not know what I did not know about roofing.
Love that.
Especially when it comes to insurance. I was just like, what? We talked about insurance claims. Is there anything more in that you feel? Is there like a story?
I've got a ton of stories because the industry is changing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not a certified public adjuster, so disclaimer, I can't talk policy.
Right.
But what I have seen is that with roofers and insurance adjusters, there's this tension because
it feels like
absolutely.
They're like, I see you coming, roofer. And you're like, I see you coming, adjuster.
Oh, and it's so fun when we're there on site and it's just a full stand down.
So they're going to do their best to try to make it seem like you don't need a full roof repair because obviously they don't want to pay for it.
If they're doing their job right, the forefront of our inspection, our intention is the homeowner, the insured.
Right.
So if I help a homeowner, call that claimant, Ms. Jones, you have ton of damage here, here, here. It's very consistent throughout the entire roof. Let's go through that report together. I want you to make an informed decision with my report, and let's go through the analysis of what this means. And then they call the claim in, and I'm there to help and answer any questions. We want to make sure we're calling claims in that should be called in.
Right.
Roofers got a bad rep, and I'll be the first one to say it, because they're just throwing it at the wall, seeing if it sticks.
Right. I'm pretty sure, no shade, my sister shouldn't pay for her own roof. I respect that she got the insurance to cover it, but I'm like, that was a shady ass roofer. Good on my sister, but that was a shady ass roofer.
Yep. And that's why we have that tension between the adjusters. And I'm grateful that I've got great experiences in the field with those guys, because we just want to collaborate, with my climber, their climber. We want to make sure we're pinpointing all the damage together.
Yeah.
Which is why my company always goes to the adjustment. We're there to represent you while they're there to represent
That's
the carrier.
cool. So when the adjuster comes, you guys send somebody so that there's informed people to help the homeowners, so the adjuster can't just say words, and you get all overwhelmed.
Or their inspector doesn't just take 5 minutes and he's like, okay, my job's done. And we want to make sure they get a fair adjustment.
Yeah.
I want to shake their hand and say, hey, we're both here to help the insured.
I imagine, though, that if you in your company are really operating from a place of integrity, the insurance companies see you come in, they're like, okay, it's Bailey. We know that they're not running scams. They're not going to try to push through insurance claims that aren't insurance claims. And so I imagine that to those of you who might need a new roof or might have some roof damage or a storm might come through.
Or an inspection.
I don't know, whatever you need. I imagine working with somebody who has that relationship with the adjusters, I imagine it's a little less tension-y.
It is.
Because they trust that you are not one of those roofers.
They're like, oh, you're not wasting our time.
Yeah.
I had a guy come out last week and we met on site, and I hadn't seen him in quite some time. And he was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm like, yep. He's like, the name looked familiar in the email. It's like, you started your own business. Like, good for you.
That's
awesome.
He's
like, I remember you when you were 18. I'm like, I was 22.
You're like, first of all, I just look young. I wish I still get carded. I don't.
Whatever.
I can't remember the last time I got carded, but my husband likes to tell me that I get carded all the time, and I'm like, I don't. You're lying. But thank you for trying to help make me feel
hair
that
flip.
way. Yeah, hair flip. Insurance fraud. Did we cover that?
Insurance fraud.
That's the
here.
Scams. Yeah, how not to get caught in the scams.
Yeah, there can be a couple of scams on both sides. I'll hold homeowners accountable for this as well.
Oh, love that.
Daunting.
Don't come for her if you're trying to be shady. Okay? She's not the one to call if you're trying to get a free roof when you know you don't need a free roof.
Oh my goodness. It happens, and the state's going to start cracking down too. So I guess two things. With roofing scams, if you're going the insurance route, let's use example Greensboro. Greensboro just had that huge hailstorm.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mama was out there with the roofing company. You got Chucks and Trucks, myself, and you got even people from Atlanta and South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Coming. So over the years, I've heard the term storm chasers. And
storm chasers. Oh.
Not as cool as it sounds.
Not as cool as it sounds.
A lot of gas station food.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just traveling.
Death.
But with that being said, over my experience in roofing is, if they're coming from out of state and they get that first check of yours from
right, they're gone. You've never seen them again.
It's happened.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't know why anybody would go with somebody from out of state. Guys, don't go with a roofer from out of state. And that's maybe one of the questions to ask. Where is your company based?
Local.
Are you local? Do you live here?
Absolutely.
That seems like one of those ways where they get that money and then maybe your shingles get dropped off, but nobody ever shows up to install them.
Yes, I have seen it way too many times. And also make sure that your materials are in the driveway before you give any money over to anybody. It's just
that's a good one.
Due diligence. As soon as you see the materials that I've ordered on my company in your driveway, then you give me that deposit check from the insurance.
Okay, I like that, because the deposits are a big issue in every realm of construction. So one of the things that we're really trying to dig into is when you're working with a GC, what is a reasonable deposit and under what circumstances is it a reasonable? Our first horror story was somebody who paid a $25,000 deposit just to get in the queue for the GC. And then like day one, it was bad, but they felt trapped because they had already given them $25,000 that they weren't going to be able to get back. So it was like how they kind of kept them
What'd you guys come up with was fair?
Well, I've been playing around with the idea of maybe there's a deposit in escrow. And so when a GC comes and says, hey, we need to buy these materials, because I mean, that happened. As a GC, I did a kitchen remodel once, and you had to buy those cabinets. It was during COVID. You had to buy the cabinets like 18 weeks in advance. It took that long to get the product. And so we were able to provide the homeowner with the invoice for the cabinets, and they wrote the check, and then it was all good. But having something where it's like, here's an invoice, they give the money, then presenting the paid invoice, something like that. I want to talk to a bunch of different GCs because I don't know that GCs are going to like that idea, especially the honest GCs that don't have any intention or bad intention of
exposing them like
that. I think it kind of it makes them feel like now I have to go through this extra step. Like if you're an honest GC, like why do I have to go through this extra step? And I think the thing is to provide peace of mind.
That word is so key in our line.
It really is.
I think I say it 12 times a day. I'm like, just for peace of mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, unfortunately, I don't think GCs are going to like it. But I can't think of another way to put a $25,000 deposit that you as the homeowner feel safe. I get the materials showed up in your driveway, now you get the money. Like that makes sense to me. Obviously it's different with a GC, but if you need to get money to be put in the queue, then I'm putting it in escrow. And when you need access to that money,
absolutely.
You'll send me what you need.
And
I will
so
prove
interesting
it.
because those are longer projects.
They are
elongated timelines. And so like with me, it's like we show up at 7, we're out of there by 7.
Right.
Most days on smaller jobs. And it just moves really quick. Then we just, if it's a retail job, then it's like 50% that morning and 50% when I leave at night.
Right. So it's totally different. But I do like the fact that you're not asking for anything before materials have showed up. Because at the end of the day, if you don't show up, at least the materials are there. And so you have that. And it's like, this is probably not going to solve all your problems, but you paid something for something. Whereas a lot in the GC side, a lot of people are paying something for nothing. And that's where it gets very horror story-ish.
I'm sure I'll have plenty of those moving forward in this industry.
I'm sure. So we covered the taking your deposit and leaving. What else on the fraud side do you think is of value?
Calling in claims that shouldn't be called in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just more so along the lines of protect your integrity. And those adjusters know your companies and they'll red flag you. So at the end of the day, it's time that we're wasting. So it's like, if we're going to call a claim in and we're going to go through this process until we get an approval, like I'm basically working for free. But I'm also doing it with your best interest in mind because my objective is to get you from point A to point B. If I'm calling in BS claims and I'm just having adjusters come out willy-nilly, I mean, now you've got a claim that was BS on your policy and we're wasting everybody's time and we're getting the hopes up of the homeowners.
Yeah. And you said something when we were talking on the phone that some roofers will go up and intentionally damage shingles to make it look like they were damaged in a storm.
2 things here. I had an inspection. They called us after we had some wind and hail in Apex, I think last week. So we went out, we did the free inspection. This was a roof that was built in 2018. They moved in 2021, 3-tab shingles, so more of that lower grade, 20 years, susceptible to 70 miles per hour wind speed. So if we go up there, we're looking for, it's newer, so we're looking for damage. And so what we did find was vandalism.
Oh.
Right? And it was so crazy because as storm inspectors, we are supposed to know the difference between a wind crease shingle and something that's been mechanically messed with.
Okay.
And that's because high constant upward velocities from wind, they're erratic and they're not the same. And so it causes the wind crease to do a different pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like symmetrical or...
It's not symmetrical.
Yeah.
And so when we got on this roof, and I'll send you pictures later, I just think it's such a hoot.
I'll put them in the show notes.
Put them in the show notes. This is what it looks like. So we saw like a tab that was, they had tried to lift it. And so it gets stuck there because there's a matting that sticks underneath.
Okay.
And so once you try again and it pops up and there's full matting transfer, which is something that's technical, and we can talk about that later. It's an indicator that it wasn't from natural causes.
Oh.
Then there's a second on the top, at the very top, and it's like you tried and then you succeeded.
Okay.
Found them in the valley, like literally just straight up, like perfectly placed, like 4 shingles down, 4 shingles down, 4 shingles down. And so for me, it's laughable. But for me, when I go and tell the homeowner who was genuinely just concerned about wind damage,
Yeah.
like, you have a vandalism claim. They didn't think they had any previous inspections, but who knows? Which is why I always ask for my liability.
So there wasn't somebody that they know of that had gone on the roof?
Maybe one party didn't think that there was.
Okay.
I just had one party there, but it could have been before they moved in.
Oh, it could have been before they moved in. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and does insurance cover vandalism?
They do.
Oh, that's good news.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's that.
There's that.
Wow, that's wild.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Seriously, that's crazy. Bailey did some very extensive show notes for you guys. And I actually will probably include, if you're okay with that, including this in the show notes, because it really goes through like what we're talking about.
Totally glad you don't think I'm a total nerd for that.
No, I loved
sent you 2
it.
versions of
You
it.
did. It was amazing. I was like, she is taking this very seriously. And I love that. So contracts. I know you wanted to talk about contracts.
Yeah, contracts.
And contingencies.
That's such a bad word too for homeowners.
Yeah.
What comes to mind when you think contingency?
Well, when I think contingency, I'm thinking about for me on my business side, like contingencies to cover things that you're not expecting. But I don't know what a homeowner would think.
With the contingencies in my field, with the insurance side of things, retail side, this is very particular to this topic. I mentioned that I do all the work for free. So we do a free inspection. We assist you with a claim call. We're going to help guide you. And then we're there for the insurance inspection. We walk that inspector through it. And then I'm also utilizing my estimating software, Xactimate, which is shared with the insurance carriers. I write my estimate.
Right. A lot that goes into it.
Yeah. You get the thorough, detailed damage analysis report that goes to your carrier. I download satellite images, like all these things cost money. I pay my inspectors as well, really well. And so the contingency is like this commitment to services where it's, if I really bulldog my way for you and I fight for you, and even if it gets denied, I'm still helping you appeal it because we know this is right.
Right.
So if we get to that approval and you decide to not go with you decide not to go with me after all that work, then there's going to be a small fee.
Oh, and there absolutely should be.
Well, if you say anything about signing before, it's just automatic bad word. No signing, no contracts. It's like a no contract. It's like if you are a true person, if you're an honest person and you're utilizing me for my services and my time, then there shouldn't really be an issue.
Right.
If you sign it.
Double-edged sword. So
it is.
A lot of companies have moved away from doing anything for free. I know in the GC world, that's a big thing. When for a very brief minute, I was engaging and going after and getting some GC work, remodels, I would not come out for free. So there was a charge. And it was shocking to people. There's like a 95% chance that you don't know how much this renovation that you want to do is going to cost. And I'm going to spend all this time and all this money. And then you're going to come back and be like, oh my gosh, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that for free. So what we would actually do is a study. And so they would have a lot of information. So it was a report that they would get that they could use no matter who they went with, but they paid $500 for it. But that was offensive. But that's why people are going in that direction, because so many people will use your time
and be okay with it,
and then be like, "Oh, we're going to go with so-and-so roofer."
Stalking moment, colon stalking.
Yeah.
As an adult, I can't imagine wasting somebody else's time, because that's all we got.
I mean, it's literally our most valuable resource. And if you go through all of that, get them approved for that claim, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going with somebody else." Come on, y'all.
Oh, it hurts.
That's mean.
I've personally never had that happen because I promise I take care of my people.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm with you and I know they're with me. I've heard it. And it hurts me for other people because I know what it takes to get there.
Yeah. How does that work? When you're like, here's the contract, and you want them to sign prior?
So if we're going to move forward, let's say we sit down at the coffee table, we're going through the damage report, and we're like, hey, you're in a good position. Let's move forward with your carrier. At that point, now that we're getting the insurance involved, that already means that I'm committing fully to show up for you and fight for you. So at that point, that's where I like to present it. And sometimes don't. It just kind of depends on situationally. I think we all kind of can trust our gut and go with situations like that. But some homeowners are like that teacher that would never give you an A. I don't give A's. I don't sign contracts. I'm like,
okay, well, I don't do your roof.
Yeah, so then you can walk away.
I think that for homeowners out there that are watching, like when you won't agree to sign, when somebody's saying, I'm going to put all this work into getting you a new roof, and you won't agree to sign a contract, that kind of gives the roofer a flag on the play that you might not be the most ideal client.
Homeowners can have red flags too.
Right. It does go both ways, y'all. It does go both ways. So that's something to think about.
On the flip side, for homeowners, I really would say to make sure that you take some time to actually read the verbiage that's in the commitment to services or the contingency agreement. Make sure that the language is fair. Contractors, make sure that it's language that communicates well. We don't need to use legal jargon, but make sure that you are explaining to a homeowner why this is in place.
Okay.
And for homeowners, make sure that it's a fair agreement and there's a way to get out of it if it doesn't get approved.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you don't owe me anything if we couldn't make it to the finish line. And that's how I think it should be.
That's very fair. I mean,
think so.
That, especially if it's like, listen, at the end of the day, if we can't get your insurance to approve this, like you don't owe us anything. That's really cool.
Yeah.
The only way you owe us anything is if we get it approved and then you go with another roofing company, then you just have to pay for my time. That is so reasonable.
Yeah, tough presentation.
Oh, God.
Contracts, though, on the other hand, from a contractor perspective, I think that some of the ones that I've seen in the industry, and I know you've probably seen a plethora of contracts.
Oh, that's what I do.
Yeah, for sure. But sometimes they just don't flow.
Yeah.
And so if I do a sit down, let's say we have the approval paperwork, insurance or retail, and we're going through my estimate or the insurance's estimate, and we want to make sure that the contract flows with the cost of the job, the materials that I'm using. Some contractors just put shingle, HDZ, charcoal. I'm like, what is going on? What kind of underlayment? What kind of ventilation are we using? What kind of penetrations? What kind of, are we replacing the flashing?
Yeah.
What's drip edge?
Yeah.
You know,
What
so
is drip edge?
Yeah, exactly. In the notes.
Okay, so in your contract, all of that information is in there. And when you guys are looking about getting your roof done, you should be looking into the contracts for that information. So it shouldn't just say a shingle. Like you want to know all of the things. There should be a lot more than like 2 products listed in the contract.
It's a lot more than just plywood and shingles. For us, it's a full 6-7 layer lifetime roofing system. So making sure that the customer understands what's on the contract, what the materials are doing, their function, and showing that we're putting it on there in writing is really important.
Okay.
Because it acts as their checklist too. Remember, materials get dropped off. You can actually take that contract, like, hey, it's all there.
Yeah. This is not in the notes, but I wonder, is there like a roof shingle for a certain type of house? If you're in your starter home, you probably don't invest in the world's most expensive shingle.
Sure.
Is there a guidance that you can give to people? Like
good, better, great?
Yeah, the good, better, great.
For sure. So like with a lot of new construction, especially like the newer homes, especially in Raleigh, you see them go up a lot every day. The construction grade is that 3-tab shingle. It's a 20-year, sometimes a 25 asphalt shingle. They're highly susceptible to 60 to 70 miles per hour wind speeds. That's why, like I said, they age like dog years. I mean, they just, by 8 to 10 years, shingles are missing, they're creasing, also susceptible to hail. So I would say that's on the lower end. I never replace roofs with a 3-tab.
Okay.
If you have a 3-tab shingle on your home, tidbit, good for information, if you go through insurance, they're only going to approve what you have. So you have 3-tab, you get it approved, they're going to approve a 3-tab shingle with whatever felt papers underneath it. At Cadmus Construction, we're going to upgrade that to a Timberline HDZ full lifetime roofing system. So that's 6 layers of GAF products.
Oh, wow. And
we're endorsed by GAF, North America's #1 shingle manufacturer. And so the whole system has its own warranty in itself.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Absolutely. And so we're not going to downgrade anybody's roof. We're going to build every roof the same. So every roof is going to be built.
And is that at a cost, or is that just like you guys aren't going to put a 3?
We're just not going to put a 3-tab. And the company does incur those costs.
Oh, wow.
But if you're working with a good contractor that knows how to navigate the insurance process, if you're going through insurance to get your roof approved, there's supplementation process and negotiations.
Okay.
Where we want to make sure that everything that needs to be covered, like every little accessory is covered from the insurance.
Okay.
So it kind of cushions that. And roofing companies will understand what I mean by that. We want to make sure that we're maxing out on what we need to replace the roof, but we are going to give you a better system.
Awesome. So basically, it's like anything but a 3-tab shingle.
Yeah, go away 3-tabs. Some insurance companies are not going to insure 3-tab homes. I'm not a public adjuster, not talking policy, but what I have seen.
We'll have one on the show soon.
That is cool.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited too.
It's wild.
Maybe be in the background. Taking notes. Yeah, but homeowners, I feel like their backs are being pressed up against the wall because if there's no storms in the area and you're covered by trees, you got a 23-year-old roof, 2 years left.
Right.
And the insurance is like, you got to change your roof.
Yeah.
Like who's going to drop
This
20
happened
grand?
to my neighbors. They're not 12 years old, but like to me, they're 12 years old. They're like babies. First-time home buyers. They were a little bit house poor buying the house. It was over their budget. And at the very end, I think it was the bank or it was the insurance and the bank because they're like together.
The tag team.
They were like, yeah, unless you replace the roof within this many days, we won't cover you for insurance.
Yeah.
And like these poor kids were like so stressed out. Like they're like, our roof has no coverage. And
That's horrible.
It was horrible. It was really horrible. And so that really is a thing that's happening. Didn't realize it was about the 3-tabs.
Well, 3-tabs are a thing, but just with your roofing and just with roofing in general, I think that we're going to see construction financiers really take over the industry because if insurance starts to back out, but they still need their roof. I mean, your roof is your biggest asset on your home. It's shielding everything that's important to you.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you will need to get it done. And if you don't have $20,000 cash to do it, make sure that you're working with a contractor like myself, humble plug. Low key. But they can offer some financing options too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So maybe you just get reimbursed by your carrier and you can finance it and you're just paying. And maybe even you want to upgrade it. Let's put some designer shingles on there.
Get those, what do they call them? Architectural 3D?
Yeah, those go on anyways, but we want to get some like Belmonts on there.
Oh, I didn't even know what those are.
Oh, notes.
I'll send you some show notes. They'll be in the show notes, y'all. Okay, so we have done a lot of roof talking.
We have.
What have we missed? Because we got to wrap it up, but what have we missed that is like a key point, takeaway?
Can I end it with a little personal story?
Yeah.
I think this is as a new business owner, and I came into the industry with a ton of experience, learned so much from my family and from mentors around me, suppliers, manufacturers. They've all raised me to be who I am and who I am in this industry as a business owner. And sometimes the new businesses get overlooked because maybe some things aren't there, whether it's a pop-in website or a million Google reviews. But I would say give those new business owners, those new ones, a chance too, because
that is very true.
We're just as good, but give us that 1%, let us earn that other 99.
Oh, that's a good point. It's like the idea of nobody coming out of college can get a job because you don't have 5 years experience, but nobody will give you a job to get the 5 years experience.
Oh gosh, I love it.
My niece is graduating from college this May, and we were talking, I was like, I'm on her. Like, so what's the job plan? And she was like, well, I've interviewed with 5 people and they've all told me if I don't have 5 years experience. She was like, how am I supposed to get 5 years experience if no one will hire me? And I was like, that's a really good point.
Join the trades, girls. Get into the trades.
She's in aviation management.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, please get a pilot's license and then just have a private jet so that you can find me places. That would be great for me.
Yes.
And it's all about me.
Next podcast will be on that.
Exactly.
On that PJ.
We'll be on the private jet. That's a great point, is don't discount a company just because they're new, especially if they have local roots and there's experience there. Like just because Bailey's company is new does not mean that she is new to roofing. It just means that she's gone out on her own and she's doing her own thing, and it'd be great to support her. So
some big cojones. We're going to make it a good year.
You know, it really takes a lot to go out on your own. It really does. And to be a female in a male-dominated industry, to go out on your own, it takes a lot. So everybody watching, if you're in the area, support my boo here, please.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for coming on the show.
This was amazing. Thank you to Chicks in Construction and to you.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you here. So guys, make sure you like and subscribe, obviously. We're going to have a bunch of show notes and fun pictures Bailey's going to give us. We're going to put it down below. And of course, make sure you go to the website and at chicksandconstruction.com and share your construction horror stories. And if you have any roofing ones, let us know. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.